How's it going, YouTube? It's Panda time. EX02 is releasing this week, or today actually, if my video airs on time. So I wanted to go look at the set. I'm not going to do like a full set review, although if that's something you guys would like to see from me in the future, definitely let me know in the comments. But I kind of just want to go over the cards and tell you guys what I'm excited for, what decks I want to build for this format. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching. Alright, so here we are at digimoncard.dev. This is the main site that I use for deck building and just to look up stuff coming out. So shout out to his website. First of all, we got the babies. Usually they're like tied to the archetype. Like Biximon is Sakuya, Gummimon is for the Rapidmon, Gargo or whatever. There's some generically good stuff though, like I think the Shaman is a pretty solid one. It's all turns, and if you're doing some sort of like champion rush type of deck, which the Leomon deck might be, but who knows, in the future there might be other things we do with level 4s. That's a pretty powerful effect. I'm also going to just briefly talk about D-Reapers, I guess. I hate them, I absolutely despise them. I think that it's really unfun. They don't play the game in a way that everyone else is playing the game. And while I could see how that is fun to you as a player, it's really just not fun to play against. And I don't like these type of cards that are just like you can't attack, they can't be affected by effects, you can't touch them, you can't interact with them. The best way to answer Mother Reaper is to punch it with your own effect, but there's very few cards that can do that. Even if you can't punch a Digimon that's standing up, you need to be 16,000 DP, which is like very tough, right? So for the record, I hate the Reapers, absolutely despise them. I don't think they're good for the game, but I don't want to turn this video into just a rant about the Reapers, although I definitely could do that. But deck is whack, I will never play this deck. For the red, so we have the Gilmon line, right, Galon support. I think that it's pretty solid. I'm a big fan of the Megidramon, especially if you guys see the alt art, it's super sick. This card is amazing. With the Tamer, he gets Blitz. You can, he also treated as Galmon, right? Chaos Galon. So you Digivolve, you can pop something, or trash cards, and then on the leash you get to play Gilmon and Atacado, which is pretty good. You can pop something 10k or less, but with other cards such as, you know, decent Heralds, you can make that number higher and pop bigger things. I think the Galmon is not as good, but the Megidramon is super sick card. And with the Tamer, I think a Galon deck is definitely going to be a real thing. So I'm definitely going to build and play that. I think that's fun. I historically don't do too well with red because red is kind of boring. But the Galon line is exciting. I'm a fan. I've always liked Galmon. For blue, we get a bunch of weird stuff. So the Gorillamon is good for the Garurumon deck. As you can, Garurumon swing, summon Gorilla, and then Gorilla will play the level 3. Actually pretty sick. That said though, like, thinking of my deck list for the Garurumon deck, like, it's already so tight. And I don't know if I would, like, would I replace Garurumon with Gorilla? I don't know, I feel like that's worse. But it's not a bad card, right? Definitely not a bad card. We have, like, you know, originally every color had these 4 play costs, 2 digital 4k jammers. And Caesar1 is like a better version of that, right? A bit more expensive, but 6k is infinitely better. There's some jamming support, which is weird, right? Like the Lavramon. I don't know if that's enough to make a deck, but it's there. We also get the Leomon support. I definitely want to make a Leomon deck. So Leomon is one of my favorite Digimon. He's just awesome. The card is okay. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's not bad either, right? So he gets blocker. When it dies, you get to gain 2 memory. The other Leomon also, when he dies, gets 2 memory. So you could, like, I think try and make a deck where like just have a bunch of Leomons, they can be annoying, they die, you get a bunch of memory. It probably won't be tier 1, but you know, good enough for me, it'll be fun. Some wacky stuff, I don't like the Mirror Angemon. For yellow, we have sort of 2 decks being supported. So we have this like Lobmon thing with Lobmon, Susie, and the Antillo, and I'm not really interested in that. It's okay, it's kind of cute. What I am really interested in is the Sakuyamon deck. Sakuyamon will actually be my main deck for EX2 realistically. I love this card, it's super fun. If you guys haven't tried it, I definitely recommend it. And the whole line is really good in general, right? Like Renamon is absolutely insane. You get on play top 4 search, including the Tamer. Inheritable that gives you memory, right? You get the Talmon, then you can just Digivolve and just play a Rika. A lot of these cards are like, if you don't have a Tamer, you can play one. Talmon just says F it. You can just play Tamer, even if you have 2 already. So Sakuyamon is super exciting. Definitely gonna be my main deck for this set. We also have the Gargo line. Terramon is super cute. We got Gene, Dog, Digimon guy. But you know, the Mega Gargo is pretty sick. I'm definitely a fan. I also want to try this. This is one of those decks where it's like, depending on who you ask, some people will tell you it's insane, some people will tell you it's trash, right? So I definitely want to play it. I might try to see how it's going to end up. The Parasite, not a fan of. Some weird stuff in this set. I don't care for the black line at all. The Strike Dramon, Cyber Dramon. None of these cards really excite me. They're pretty whatever. I'm definitely going to be skipping black for this format. For purple, you have the Bielsa Inbound support, which I'm also not a fan of. I think the deck might be okay, but it just relies too much on high roll. Like, you have to be milling the correct cards. I'm not a fan personally. There's also some other cool purple cards like the Golfmon. I feel like if we ever go back to side decks, cards like Golfmon will be very strong. Like, the Digimon effect is very, very cool, right? It's very different. But like, would you main deck this? Can you make a deck based around Golfmon to make it good? I don't know. It's a cool card though. I definitely don't dislike it. Calmon is interesting, although I'm not a huge fan of this card. I know it's easy to look at it and be like, oh, this card is so good, right? But when you look at cards like this, you have to evaluate them, and like, it's not as free as you think it is, because A, it costs a slot in your deck. B, it pays for itself, but for it to pay for itself, you need to have the Gilmon, Terramon, Renamon, or whatever, right? He can't attack, and then when you Digivolve, you have to suspend them to gain the memory back, right? So it's like, he pays for itself if you Digivolve, and you have the correct Digimon anyway, and he costs you the card, right? And it's like, is he gonna stick around the board for you to get this effect multiple times? Realistically, no. I'm not a fan, but you know, it's not like it's a terrible card. Again, we absolutely hate the 3 Reapers. We'll not be talking about these. The Gatekeeper especially, it's super obnoxious. Gets play from security, it's 10k, recovers 1, your opponent's Digimon get -1 security. Like, actually so stupid. Hate these cards. For the Tamers, we're talking about them, but there's some good stuff in here. The Gilmon one. The Jerry is what would make the Leomon deck good, right? You could play Leomons for 4, which is nice. There's some other stuff in there, like Kenta is kind of whack. Love the Rika. And then we have, you know, some decent options. A lot of these are, you know, for the Sakuryamon deck, all the high-speed plugins. But while these are meant to be played with Sakuryamon, they're just good cards in general, right? Like, any deck could play these because they have the requirement where if you have a Tamer, you can just ignore the color. So, like, if you're playing any deck and for some reason you're like, oh, my deck would really like some jamming, or Security Attack +1, or like cheaper Digivolutions, like, you could play this in any deck. And maybe there's other decks where they could shine, right? Fist of the Beast King, very iconic. I don't think it's as good, but I mean, I love the card in general. Blue card is another interesting, like, generically good card. And it's, again, one of those cards people look at and they think it's insane. I'm not a big fan myself. Like, yeah, I mean, if you have the Tamer, you can just play it. Reveal top 5, and then, like, you can Digivolve. But then, like, you have to hope that you're hitting something, and I don't like that. Like, the difference between getting a Digivolution or adding a card is massive, right? And I don't like just relying on that. So I'm not a fan of this card personally. And then you have the secret rares. The Gallant is pretty sick. Good for the Gallant deck. It's pretty cool. And Bielsa, again, I'm not a big fan of. So yeah, a little bit of support for everything in this set. I'm definitely most excited for the Sakuryamon deck. Beyond that, the Leomon deck and the Gargomon deck and the Galmon deck. It should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be recording footage of EX02, and then we'll have some matches up on the channel. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for watching.